If money affects your life in any way, Money Making Sense will talk about it. Be financially healthy, wealthy, and wise. Here's your host, Heather Kelly.
Welcome to Money Making Sense, the show that talks about all things money. Today I'm at the SUNDANCE Film Festival at the Rendezvous Cinema Center, and I am joined by 3 hedge fund guys. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's awesome to be here.
Okay, so I know we have Michael, Chris,
Slater.
and Slater.
Yes.
Mike, do you want Michael or Mike?
You know, the people that love me call me Michael. So it's up to you.
I love you, Michael.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so I was very interested when I heard about this forming hedge funds to fund entertainment.
Yeah.
So my first question is, usually if you put your money into a hedge fund, you wait for it to grow, whatever. If I do that, can I just get my money out because now I want to make a movie? I mean, how does this hedge fund thing work?
It goes into a deeper thing that we built out. We built out a portal that actually connects with your bank account, and you'll be able to receive your dividends like that. You'll be able to log in and basically see how much money the films that you've invested have made on a quarterly basis. And you can directly take your money out whenever you want, or you can reinvest it into the other funds that we've created.
So I'm the investor. Am I investing in one particular film, or am I just putting money in and you decide?
What we've been doing is we've been putting, so like in a hedge fund where you like have the long and short of things, or you have something like a grasp of different things. So we're trying to make an eclectic fund, what we call a film fund, of different films. Some are low budget, some are a little bit higher in budget. So you'd come in, you'd have the ability to see this full fund. You can pick and choose where you'd want to, but ideally you're putting in money to this whole fund so it gets to its cap position. And we've been able to find films that have maybe not necessarily gone into pre-production yet, and we're mixing it with films that are in post so we can do a quicker return on these kind of things as well.
Yeah, like diversification is the name of the game. We wanted to give people the option to invest in the things that spoke to them. And a lot of the times you run into these problems. I mean, the 3 of us have an extensive filmmaking background, and one of the issues that we ran into was, we're looking for money and we keep bashing our head up against the wall.
Everybody's looking for
money.
money.
And so what we realized is, like, if we ask people for money for a slate of films, then they get to choose the different things that they're interested in, because then again, it's making it personal to you. And the customization and the diversification makes it winnable for everybody.
What if I want to what if I'm the filmmaker?
You would come to us with your pitch, your deck, and everything,
and your script.
Come to us, yeah.
And we have a department that reviews all the scripts, and we usually do about, I'd say I think we're going to do about a volume bi-monthly, so we'll have about 6 volumes, and that's 6 different funds. Usually we'll do, say, something from like 7 to 10 films for each fund, right? So we give that to our investors, they take a look, if it's for them, they invest, and then they get their login, and they go into the portal.
So I know there's an app called Stash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
So in there, if you wanted to pick what you wanted to invest in, one of them is like oil or
Right.
Very similar. Very similar.
Stash, Robinhood, it's a very similar kind of fund.
So your hedge fund is the same thing. I could go in and go,
Absolutely.
okay, I want to invest in horror films,
Yes,
or
yeah,
I
yes.
want to invest in the romance.
Yes,
or
yes,
whatever.
yes.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
within that category, you've got a bunch of different.
Now,
Whatever makes your heart sing.
we don't necessarily separate. It doesn't make sense to us to just do one volume with all one genre. We want to diversify in one genre. One volume. We want to have a bunch of different genres. Maybe a higher budget film, lower budget films. Our owning a hedge fund is about taking care of your investors first. We have to be otherwise we won't exist. If we don't make money, it's not successful. And the films, even though they're great passion projects and great artistry, we still are in an industry, and we still need to make money. So at some point, we try to protect our investors also with something that most filmmakers don't even know about, but if they don't, they really should start listening.
Right.
Tax Code 181 is the most important thing that filmmakers don't use. Tax Code 181 essentially is a one-to-one tax write-off that investors can put on their K1 and utilize. So essentially, if a film production has shot more than 75% of their production in the States, they can apply for this one-to-one tax write-off. Now think about it. If someone's making 5, 10, 20 million a year and they don't want to pay taxes, they'll invest in our fund, not pay taxes that year, have that write-off, and be able to go, see the success of their money, of their tax money, and see if there's because taxes are dead money, right?
Right.
So if you could use dead money and see what you can do with it for another year, you might maximize your amount of income.
Right.
So you said you were all in the film industry previous.
That's where we started,
That's
yeah.
where you
Yes.
started.
Yeah.
So what did you do?
I was a screenwriter. Well, prior to that, I was a musician who had dreams of being a screenwriter, and I met Mike.
Don't let him fool you. Also, he was in a very, very famous hip hop group.
Warm Brew.
Very, very
Shout out
famous.
Warm Brew.
I'm not letting you skip over that.
Shout out
sorry.
Warm Brew.
Shout out Warm Brew.
I was on tour, and my DJ was friends with Michael, and we met that night, and we spent the entire night talking about movies. A couple months later, I met up with him. He told me that he was making a project, and after that, we've been inseparable ever since. And but yeah, my background is in much more creative. But then through that, I was able to, and again through Michael's help and through Slater, was able to meet other filmmakers and things like that. So that I was able to really get my foot in the door and build a rhythm with it. And yeah, but writing, it's my joy, and just truly seeing people have the ability to take the things that they put on paper and make that. I love that. I love seeing people. I love having those conversations with other filmmakers where it's yeah, this is awesome, because then they light up, and knowing that we have the ability to help them out is really, really incredible.
And what do you like writing?
I mean, I'm a deeply dramatic person, so it's a lot of dramatic thrillers and things like
We
that.
all cry a lot, I gotta tell you. We're very sensitive people.
But I mean, truly anything. Again, I was in a hip hop group. I'm also I fancy myself as a creative writer, a prose writer.
We love sports. We're doing a football film. We're writing it right now.
But yeah, just anything really. I mean, like I said, our loyalty is to story, and we just want to tell stories that are told from different angles. I mean, I'm Black and Latino, but I want to be able to tell the story from any type of angle. I don't want to just box myself into any specific corner. It really is. I am a fan of writing. I'm a fan of story. I mean, John Steinbeck's my favorite writer. I'm a California kid, so that's just bound to happen. But yeah, truly, it's writing and filmmaking. I want to get into it. I met him when he was just simply a director and a writer, and to see where he's at now is really incredible.
And so, like you said, you were a writer and director. Is that where you started at the beginning?
I went to the School of Visual Arts in New York City, and the first day of school, I told them that I was going to make a feature film, and I got kind of laughed at in the classroom. The teacher told me that I was an idiot, and that people have set out to go do it, and they don't succeed. So I did it, and I made the film, and it was one of the first films that student films that Amazon ever licensed. So we were pretty successful right out of the gate, but that was also a rude awakening, because at some point it's about your body of work. That's just the beginning, and a lot of great actors came out of my first film. I made it when I was 19 years old. I shot it with college equipment, college labor. If you're not shooting a feature when you're going to film school, then you're wasting all that money. Go out and have something to sell when you leave school. That was my whole concept. So the bottom line, though, is that a lot of great actors that were nobodies at that time came from that film.
Andy Matichak,
Ethan Slater, Katrina Lank. Ethan Slater's in Wicked. Katrina Lank won the Tony for A Band's Visit. Andy Matichak was the new face of Halloween, Jamie Lee Curtis's granddaughter, Halloween movie. So it was amazing to see that we had an eye for talent, and that we put it together. And then, onwards, you think you make your first film and you're famous and you're going to move on and you're going to be so successful. And then you get to your second film and you're like, oh my God. And that my second film almost killed me 6 times. I'm still dying from that film. So at some point, that is the plight of a filmmaker. That's what we do it to be extraordinary, and we want to also help people. I remember when I showed my first film, which dealt with, it had a sense of a Freudian kind of tale. It was, a kid that was abandoned by his mother ends up falling in love with an older woman who's his therapist. And I remember I screened the film at some random, very little film festival, and I never want to watch the films when I'm screening them. It's too tense for me, So I came in, and out of nowhere, this woman just, stopped me as I'm walking up for the Q&A, and she grabs me and picks me up and swings me like I'm a child, and I'm being swung in the air, and I'm like, this is the greatest moment of my life. Someone loved my film finally, And all I'm trying to get at is that if you can touch one person's life, you did a good job on the film, Just go out, and everything in life is about intention. Have good intention with your product. Don't try to make a film because you want to be famous, you want to be seen. Don't try to make a film because you want to make a ton of money. Make a film because you believe in that story, and you believe in your team and the artistry all around it.
So you are not funding Tom Cruise's films?
No,
I mean,
not yet.
Tom, you can call us.
I mean, we're not saying that we won't. We would love to.
No, we want to give people a shot too. You know, I was given a shot, and I like that. You know, that idea.
Slater, what is your
Oh,
background?
I just showed up one day. They didn't ask me to leave yet.
Yeah, we've
so-
actually found him
I can see
outside.
I mean,
Yeah,
and then don't let him sell himself short. This dude is, he's been in
I
it.
worked for a number of years for a EP named Steve Bing, who funded a lot of money into motion capture for a long time. Worked for him starting as like all the way as an assistant, and then I started running his film division for a while. And then I worked for Jeff Tremaine and the guys that make all the Jackass movies as a CE and a producer. And then, after a while, kind of getting stuck in this, so you get stuck into a system, and especially like a studio system where like it's very narrow to get to where you want to be. I just decided, and Mike and I went to high school together actually, and he had told me for a long time, he was like, listen, there's something outside of you can do something in this indie space, and I need you to help me do it, because you know how to finish a film from A to Z, you know the business of the film industry, and I want you to come along and run this journey with me. And that was 2 years ago or so, and since then I have met an incredible amount of incredible wealth of artists, different people in finance backgrounds, and it's coming together very, very fast. It was crazy how much progression we made so quickly. And I thought for a long time when he was kept talking, he was like, you have to come over here. Like, you are the missing piece. I was like, I don't know, am I though? And it came over, and it was like, I kind of just, it did fit perfectly. The three of us do fit perfectly. We do also have another business partner in Craig Mattus, who comes from a more finance background, and he's been doing financial stuff for like 30, 40 years now.
And by the way, I was right. He was the missing piece. Everything started working. I mean, I don't really like him that much, but everything started working out as soon as he got around. Of course,
We do not.
That's
Chris, you need to sit in the middle.
I mean, that's the interesting part to our dynamic. I think that there's a part that like our strengths really accentuate our weaknesses. You know, like I have the least amount of experience within the film industry within this, but like not to but it's like I have the wealth of experience in creative work. I started making music when I was 18 years old, and by the time I was 25, I was signed to a deal, and I was working with Red Bull Records and things like that. And so while I'm doing that, they're out here, he's digging, like making his movies independently, and he's working within the system. And so I look at them and I'm like, I'm jealous of that. I wish I was able to toil that dirt for a little while. But I mean, not to boost myself up, I'm sure they're looking at me where it's like, he did it. He was doing the creative work and really building up his own thing for a while. So I think that our dynamic works where we understand what our strengths and weaknesses are, and we understand how to help each other out when we're doing it. Like, I lean on them so much because a lot of this is, and I think that happens with anybody, but it's like it's uncharted water. The deeper you get into anything, you're just like, well, I don't know what to do now. And then, and so having each other and being able, and like there's a true
filling
friendship.
each other's gaps.
And
I think
then
too,
it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, like they can say they don't like each other, but I know they love each other. And so, and like that. At the end
Please
of the
don't
day,
put
like,
that on your podcast.
Can we cut that?
there's a true friendship and a care, and also like, but again, and a loyalty to what our company is, a loyalty to wanting to help people with this, because we understand that like independent filmmaking is a difficult world, and if we can just extend some sort of olive branch to those people that we know. I mean, we're now all in our 30s, but we remember what it was like in our 20s to be like just getting no's constantly, and how discouraging that may be, and knowing that like we might have missed out on a bunch of great creatives just because they heard no too many times. And we want to be able to make sure that they don't hear that. If we can be the people that are like, we got you, like we can help you, we can be the cradle to help you get to the next level of your career, then we know we did something right.
Right. It's also good timing too. Like over the past 2 years, you look at the box office with indie film, and it is definitely coming back. It is getting wider, but even indie film to a certain degree, you're talking still like 10 to 15, $20 million movies. There's still people under that have great stories and great films, and they don't have the opportunity to go to A24 or Neon Focus, all those places. So I think we are in a really good position to fill a very large gap.
So now I understand your background in the industry. what makes you financiers? I mean, did you all go to, like school
No,
for
no.
money?
People that take
Nope.
big swings sometimes put themselves in positions
Yeah.
that things fall into.
But
their
also,
lap.
we do have a business, like I said, just said a minute ago.
Our
Our CFO, Craig Mattus, is the one who, he came in right before I did, and he has the finance background of 40 plus years. So with a very escalated education from him, and also just having good business sense in general, we've been able to not only make an impression on the film side, but also on the finance side. We've made, not just a moment ago when I said we've made a great progression on the entertainment and film side, Craig is leading that charge on the finance side with Michael's assistance as well, and
We have a
great
division
things.
that focuses in global development.
Right.
It's kind of our bread and butter. At some point, this division focuses on real estate loans in a way that it allows us to make a serious amount of movies every year. Like let me just say this: we would like to put $30 to $50 million in movies every year, and that's our goal. So, and we're in the position to do that.
So how much staff do you have at this company?
Six, about
six,
six of us
six,
at
seven
the
people.
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're pretty.
We're getting to the point too where we
We-
do need to grow.
We expand in 2025 to 9 different divisions. We are in medical technologies, web technologies, hospitality, sports management, obviously global development, media ventures, and mergers and acquisitions. So we kind of are not just looking to listen. 71% of films don't make their money back. Okay, that's the bottom line. Okay, you have better odds playing blackjack, right? So going up to people that you care about and love and trying to get money for your movie is basically telling them there's a 71% chance I'm not going to get this money back from you. We're trying to make that number go much further down.
So can anybody invest in these funds, or is it
Absolutely.
only filmmakers?
You have to be an accredited investor. The most important thing about being an accredited investor, and I'm happy the SEC set this up, is that someone could really believe in you and their net worth is say $3 million and they give you $1.5 million and they don't make any money back. It's kind of not right. So an accredited investor is just basically, it changes every year not every year, but it changes what the parameters of an accredited investor is, but usually it's a net worth of over something like $5 million or making something close to like $500,000 a year. So that's.
So I don't qualify with my 50,000.
Well, we don't know.
Well, we don't know.
We've never seen your
I mean,
bank
this
account.
podcast might blow up right now from this.
Rich and famous, yes.
Absolutely.
So how did it come about that you have teamed up with the Rendezvous Cinema Center?
Well, actually, we have one of our team members. His name is Diego Moreira. Diego works with David for a long time. David and Diego must know each other for 11 years. And when I brought Diego on, he said the best publicist in the game is David Manning. And we took him on, and he's been great ever since.
So is he putting you in like all the festivals, or as many as
We'll
you
be at South by, South
we'll-
by, and then we'll be at Cannes. We'll be at Venice, Toronto, Hamptons.
Please take me to Cannes.
We'll take you anywhere you want.
Any day. Any day.
Okay,
I
so
think it's important to also mention for incoming, young filmmakers that your film might not be successful domestically, but there are 197 territories to sell to. And what I found in my first film is that we did really well in China. We did really well in Japan and India, and we made more money from international territories. So the way that works is basically each territory, can license your film for an X amount of time for an X amount of money. And if you take it like this, if they're giving licensing deals for $100,000 and you made your film for $1 million, you just need to get 10 territories and you made your money back.
Yeah.
That's a safer way to make money than going to the box office and the streamers. I might piss off the streamers by saying this, but they are gouging the hell out of the filmmakers. Okay, it's enough. At some point, we used to have a box office world where people were becoming millionaires off an opening, and it just doesn't happen anymore. And I'm not saying that people need to be millionaires making films. In fact, I feel like that's counterproductive. But what I do say is this, is that if we're in this new world where streamers have to constantly recycle so they can't pay this kind of money, we need to focus on the international market. We need to be more of a global film development company as well. And so we're working on also, making a lot of those connections in the international world as well.
And to piggyback off of Michael, I mean, with a message to young filmmakers, just remain loyal to your craft, have faith in what you're creating, have faith in the stories that you're creating, I have a 15-year-old son, and he gets into music, and he gets into all different type of creative world. And I just one thing I can tell him is like, keep grinding at it, keep getting better. Don't worry
going.
about the end product. It's all about the work. Keep putting in the work, because there are people, and like I'm so fortunate to be in a position where it's I can safely say like, there's people like us that care about that are truly wanting to invest in that. We don't care about like just like like you brought up Tom Cruise and things like that. It's like that's not what we're like. We'd rather make a bunch of movies for $2 million that like are real and soulful than to try to jump into a world that is solely like trying to make the bottom line.
I really do want to mention this, is that we're interested in people that take big swings, right? In the climate of the world today, I mean, we've only been, through a month, and I mean, his house burned down. He's homeless right now, actually, at that point. We talk about it all the time. And the fact that we're doing these big things, making all this money, doing such great things, and his house just got burned down.
Yeah, the contrast of being in the snow while also knowing that back at home, there's fire. It's very, very odd.
We had to continue on. Obviously, we were like, hey, Chris, if you don't want to make it, and he's like, this is my life.
We're going.
We're going.
Yeah.
That's how committed we are, and that's what we expect from our filmmakers.
Because
I just have to pause for a minute.
Yeah.
Is your family okay?
actually, that's my fiance right there. Our family's okay. Oddly enough, watched our house burn on the news.
You did.
Our house, our house was very famous. It was on the news. That camera, just like that one, they set it right up in front of our house. And so, I mean, they saw it on the news, and they were talking to each other. I hadn't spoken to them.
He was like, "That's Chris and Bree's house."
And
so, like, nah, it's not.
But again, like to understanding that the opportunity that we have here is something that not only changes my life or their lives. It's like we can change the lives of so many others. Like, we really, really, really did get into this with we wanted to help people make their movies, because again, like, I think about it constantly. It's like, how many of the great artists have we missed out on just because someone told them no?
Right.
And like, like as artists, we're sensitive people, so a no can deter someone from being the best version of themselves.
Right.
And so like with now this whole fire situation, I felt the need to dig deeper and be like, I need to do this, because not only do I need to provide for my family and figure out where we're going to live eventually, but it's also like the perseverance through this, and like the resilience is like, it's a sign of artistry, and it's that constant like, as doors will close, but you got to keep fighting through them and keep working through it, because eventually there will be something that opens up for you. Don't allow the no to deter you from what you feel is your destiny. And I feel like me meeting these guys in the way that I did, again, they went to high school together, and I just randomly met him on a night in New York. And we're sitting here in a situation where, I'm, again, in the snow in Utah. My house is burned down, but we've
been doing a lot of clothing shopping.
I have a smile on my face. I'm here with my fiance. I'm here with my best friends, and we're able to do something that we've been talking about for years, and live out a dream, and understanding that like, if we can do it, it's possible for you, and to be able to, again, be in a position to do so for people is incredible. Yeah, it really is.
Now, right now, are you only funding films, or are you branching out into music or art? Artists, everything.
Yeah. We're opening a hotel next year. We're going to do a couple restaurants in New York. We have a coffee shop in Los Angeles, if it still remains to be,
Wait, you're serious?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a part of our hospitality department.
Yeah, there's numerous different divisions.
In the medical technologies, there's massive advancements that...
Now, restaurants don't have a high margin.
No, they don't.
Well, not ours, but maybe ours do,
Okay.
At some point, our restaurant is a lounge and a club, and alcohol makes a lot of money.
Okay, and where is that going to be?
It's in off 192 Allen Street, actually. It's in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. Yeah. Chris and I lived there. It's actually funny, when Chris and I were first starting to work together, I was like, you got to come to New York. This is our spot. We're going to be the best here. Day one, it was COVID lockdown. Right. So we were stuck in a...
I flew out to New York. Before I flew out, everything was open. I landed in New York, everything was closed. And it happened just like that. But even within that, we learned this part, like this resilience of like, we understood that the circumstances are eventually going to change. And so, I mean, I'm relying on a lot of those memories and a lot of those things to get me through this moment that I'm going through with the fires, because it's like, eventually the world will open back up and life will remain. And I need to be prepared for it. I don't want to be the person that's just kind of sitting and waiting and then I get the engine going. Like I need to keep moving and keep moving. I mean, the fires happened on the 7th. What date is it today? 24th. So we're about a 2.5 weeks past, and like again, I feel like I've lived 5 lifetimes since then.
Right.
But I'm here, and I'm making the most of it, and even having this opportunity to speak with you is incredible. It really is.
Thank you again.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yes.
I was fascinated to just learn, like, really hedge funds for entertainment.
Right.
So
Yeah.
did you all have to put in your own money to get started?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
In different ways, yes.
Yeah. And also, to just for your last question, like films are our main focus, and the global development is our main focus, and all these other sectors of art are like still in their infancy and still growing. But we have very, very big plans for like the next 5 years. But yes, films are kind of the main focus.
The way it works is that 3 of us are owning a capital holdings company, and there's subdivisions that come after that capital holdings company. Now, when we have subdivisions, we also are actively bringing new people that are more experienced than us. You know, like I've never opened a restaurant, so
I always want to work with smarter people.
yeah,
than me.
we're very.
Yeah.
You must.
And admittedly, that's not hard to find.
Yeah.
We're not the brightest.
No, come on. You must remain humble to be successful, and this is the bottom line. So we also are humble to the fact that we don't know everything. We want to be successful. I mean, ideally, we're making money in other divisions to fund our films. That was the whole concept. We're filmmakers that couldn't find any money for ourselves, so we were like, well, let's try and team up with some other filmmakers and create this opportunity where it's a bigger investment and a greater chance than that 71% chance.
Right.
So I have to ask, for if anybody does want to get interested in here that have a lot more money than me, what is your return on investment so far?
Well, currently we're actually funding our first slate. So right now,
First slate is out there right now.
we've made a considerable amount of money, and if you look at the Collider article, you can see what our AUM is. Our AUM is currently at $7.65 billion. So, which allows that to, that's just assets under management. Doesn't mean we have $7.65 billion in liquidity, but that allows us to obtain virtually up to that to invest in things.
So my question is, did all the money that's been invested come to $7 billion and now you've just made the 0.65, or was it $5 billion and now you've grown to 7?
The Media Ventures department started today. Day one of Media Ventures
Our release party.
This is almost our release party. We are just investing in our first volume, and our first volume is incredible. We have some films that, I really think are just going to be the next best thing. So, we built that out, and this is going to be one of the best years of our lives, and we're hoping to really help the independent film industry. We're not studio guys. We're trying to create the independent studio in a way, trying to give people the opportunity to make the things they want to make. Not just the things that are going to get digested by everybody.
Yeah.
I for one would really appreciate that, because I can't go to another sequel
Right.
again.
Are you telling me you don't want to see Black Panther 6?
It's so counterproductive. It's like, the studios just don't want to take that swing, but then we're in the riskiest industry of all time.
Right, but also that's a never-ending cycle. Like it was kind of the audience's fault for leading them the intent of this, the agencies and the studios start remaking the SIP over and over again. Yeah. But there is a time and place where we feel, and everyone here at this festival right now, they know that there is a time and a place for everything, and we understand that we are kind of the new guys on the block, but all we want to do is help other filmmakers be able to push a variety of different stories of different people all over the world, and prove that people not only will go to those at home and watch them at home, but they will go to the movie theater and see that. And there's a time and place for everything.
Absolutely. And by the way, it's just not the young filmmakers. I mean, we consistently have, top A talent, being in the films that's being pitched to us.
Right.
So it's not just, kids that are coming out of college that don't have, anything to their name. Every filmmaker is looking for money.
Maybe no one's not.
I mean, I think that's the part that has been the most surprising to me, is you look at the cast and the people attached to it, and you're just like, if they're looking for money, then we're doing something with the idea of, we want people to make their movies.
We're on the right track.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, it's because Hollywood won't do the movies that the actors
Exactly.
and the filmmakers and the writers want to put up there.
Right, but if you broaden,
And those are the ones that we want to see.
If you broaden the scope of people who are financing those kind of things and bringing in other people that have financial backgrounds and have film backgrounds and don't just get skated into that same route of the, we have to do it this way. We have to, there's certain data and quantified stuff that goes in this certain direction. Broaden the landscape, make the view wider for more people, and then eventually you will see the taste of people shift away. So that is
A24. A24,
yeah, like A24 or Neon.
is,
I mean, they
I
do
have
very
massive respect for A24. They helped us do what we're trying to do right now. Yeah.
What else do you want investors or filmmakers or restaurateurs to know about your company and what they can do?
I think that more or less, what's important maybe not to investors, but to the people in general. I think that we are in a very interesting climate right now, where you have AI coming out, right? AI is the scariest thing I've ever seen to certain, film projects, and for me, even with music, some of the stuff I've seen that AI music is doing. So I think that to give to investors, the clarity about us is that we have our ears to the ground in every department, every facet of this world. At some point we're not just stopping at media ventures. We're not just going to stop at global development. We are going to try and do just about every division we can do. And that, I think, is a very important thing if you're investing in the Capital Holdings company, knowing that you're diversifying not just your investment over a bunch of films, but many different departments, many different occupations and all other restaurants and all this sort of stuff that can maximize the type of profit you can make. And all you need is one. That's the thing. On these slates, you might have 8 films, and say the slate is $10 million, right? And one film makes 15. And they don't need the money from the rest of them. Yeah. And usually it'd be rare that we would just have one winner on our slates, right? So
we'll go to bat for you. We will fight for you.
Yeah.
Like at the end, we have not, and we will not lose sight of the fact that we were the dudes on the outside looking in.
Right.
That we were trying to be the ones to try and make these moves and all these different projects, and we were again getting those no's, and so we.
Well, what's that famous line from *Inglourious Basterds* when he's talking about how do you catch a rat? You got to think like the rat, right?
Yeah.
We came as filmmakers, so we now are on the other side, and now we know exactly what the filmmakers.
Well, now if we're talking about movies, like they say, like Bane said in Batman.
Yeah.
You adjusted to the darkness. I was born in
the darkness. Yeah, exactly. That's good. I like that. That's good.
But no, truly, we will not lose sight of the fact of it's one of don't forget where you came from, and we know where we came from. We know how hard we fought to even be in the position to be with each other to try and make movies, let alone to be in a position to now help people make them.
Right.
And so we will go to bat for you. We will fight for you. If it's something that we feel that we put through our process and we enjoy and we love and we feel that it needs to be heard or seen or whatever it may be, or tasted it, or again, restaurateurs, then we will fight for you. Because we want everybody, again, everything is a story in my opinion, and we want those stories to be heard or felt or whatever it may be.
Where can people go to learn more about your plan?
It's rdvcapital.com. Is just a site with basic information. I think at some point, because we really only deal with accredited investors, it's not like we're this, offering. We're not really a public offering.
We're not a public offering.
And it's important that we say that, and just to be suitable for regulations. So it's not necessarily open just yet. Maybe if we're an IPO one day, absolutely people can get more involved. But right now it's more of for our private collection.
So, but how do filmmakers find you?
Oh well, we were filmmakers, right? So I've been around. I've been trying to make movies for 10 years, and I think that you notice how small the clique of people that are trying to make those movies, and then you notice the people that fall off, and the people that keep showing up.
There's the website, Rendezvous Capital, as an Instagram. I mean, we all have Instagrams. I mean, people reach out any way they can.
A lot of the films we get, though, is through personal connections. We're all filmmakers and we're all best friends. So you can imagine that all of our other best friends are filmmakers too. Sure. So our network is really full of the filmmaking. I don't hang out with.
We don't lack for projects.
And by the way, I'm not even the guys to hang out with the Wall Street Bros. We don't really like them. Actually, we're trying to come in and be not so business oriented and more artistry oriented. Greed is a sin. You know, there's how much money is enough money, right? Like maybe just go do good things for a change, and maybe focus on actually helping people, and maybe that will change the world.
And we pride ourselves of being in the field. Like we want to be present at all of these festivals and all of these places. Like
and
so,
productions, because we are filmmakers. Sometimes
we live for this. We truly do enjoy it. I mean, if you can see, we've been sitting here talking, and we can sit here and talk to you forever about it.
We got plenty of time.
We do enjoy this. It's something that we like. We're not in it for the quote unquote wrong reasons. It's like we really are here. Like we enjoy doing it. We enjoy being with each other. And so being out on the field, like come talk to us if you see us. I mean, you got the camera, you see this face. Yeah, come and talk, because again, if you got something to pitch and you're passionate about it, like man, I'll fall into anybody's passion project. I love that. And so like
we're always here to
come
listen,
and talk.
for sure.
Come and talk to
I'm
us.
the one reading them on, watching them on.
Yeah, that's true.
Come and talk
Later
to
takes the
us.
bulk.
He'll
Straight to
read
me.
them.
My passion project is to get rid of AI because that has cut down my work.
Yeah, I believe
Like
it. Sure.
I do a lot of voiceover on top of radio.
Yeah, sure.
Gone. I mean,
Yeah.
my secondary income went from,
Right.
A secondary income to now it's like
now
we're
it's
fighting
like,
for
like
it.
if I get $5 a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's kind
Totally
of,
understand.
and that's just, it for me personally, it's sickening. It takes away from the artistry. Like, I don't need to hear what a robot can conjure up based upon what humans have programmed it to do.
But it'll never be able to
I want-
make something that you can make. It doesn't have your actual life experience.
It's
It'll-
too
it'll
contrived.
always
But
be
also, but
intangible.
within that, it's like it's here.
So what are you going to do about
We
it?
need to know how to deal with it if it's at the party.
Sure, I mean, in
And
the
so,
best
like-
case scenario, it's a tool. At worst case scenario, it is doing just what you said.
Right.
We
And-
need to take control of these robots.
Yeah.
How to get
I mean,
it.
also, we can't afford
it.
another 9-month strike. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
the other problem, is that someone's got to wake up and start treating people fairly, because that 9-month strike really hurt us, hurt everybody. I mean, I can't even imagine about the guys that are key grips and the gaffers and PAs and the art department. Like, what are they doing? You know, most people in America are paycheck to paycheck. So you're gonna quit for 9 months? That's not right.
Yeah.
And then you guys can't find an answer, you know? When at the end of the day, you know, I think that the AI systems really only affect, well, listen, the AI screenwriting, yeah, I'll tell you this, Chris can write a better script than any AI, no matter what.
Oh no,
Okay.
they won't let us at the news station. We actually just fired somebody because we found out he had just been putting in the terms
Yeah.
Really?
into AI, and
Interesting.
then it printed out stuff, and we're like, who wrote this?
Right,
You
right,
know,
right, right.
Like a computer.
You haven't.
can tell.
We worked here for 2 years. You haven't sounded like this ever.
You can't tell. You
So,
can't tell.
so
You can
I
absolutely
would
tell.
also say, let's stop training the AIs, because they're getting smarter. You know, eventually we will have an AI writing as well as Chris. So let's kind of slow our roll on that. But the other thing about it, though, is I'm only going to watch the films written by humans. You know, I want to be in touch with humanity. I mean, humanity is what's beautiful about art. You know, if you start getting too contrived, too functional, you know, I mean, even as a director, I hate marks, right? I always tell my first AC, like, if you can't follow the focus, then I'm going to get a new first AC. I want my actors to feel like very much in that environment, forget that there's a camera there at all. You know, don't make the actor into a robot. You got to hit this line at this mark with this emotion and this intention, and then look back this way.
Right.
That's not acting. You know, be real, be human. You know, I don't want to lose that, you know, and I think that if we have anything to say about it, we might.
Yeah, the human experience is so rich with stories, and so like let's not rid ourselves of that. Like let's dive into that. And again, like I keep saying, like that's where that is where our loyalty is. Like we want the stories that come from people, because like at the end of the day, like there's a thread that ties all of humanity together. But like my life story is different than yours and different from theirs, and I want to know what his life was like, what his life was like, what your life was like, and so we want all of those people to come to us, because we will fight for you to make those stories.
But most of the statistics show that audiences want to go see a movie where they see themselves
Absolutely.
in it, which is those human stories.
That's why
I mean,
we
it
make-
may be fun to see the space shoot 'em
it's
up.
the
thing,
catharsis.
But again, there's a
Yeah.
time and place for everything.
Yeah.
I just think for a while we've been shifted, keeled over to one side, and now it's retreating. To the
Right.
side. But again, in the indie space, the box office did really well last year, and that's why a lot of buyers are here. And I think it's why a lot of people here, even with what happened in LA, I think people are here with a lot of enthusiasm for 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that at the end of the day, also, it's not necessarily the feature films and the Sundance films that are going to be as affected as it is like the CSI Miamis, the Law and Orders, that do follow a formula. More or less, they are just kind of placing different characters in a similar situation. I always remember joking with my dad about House. It's like they always almost kill the person before they save his life, her life. And I think at some point,
come back to life.
Those shows, and those are still people too writing those shows. There's still people feeding their children off those shows. Yeah. Those shows are in serious jeopardy when you do have a formula. Yeah. You can train on a formula.
Yeah, exactly. They're old.
So I think that to give to any insight about us is that we also had to be flexible with our identity. I think that it's cool to be a filmmaker. It's cool to be an artist. You go and meet someone and you say that, you're interesting. But sometimes you have to drop your identity as an artist to realize how to help the artistry. And what I mean by that is that being a businessman and an artist is just totally counterproductive. Like, if I'm thinking about the business right now, then I'm like, you have 13 minutes to shoot your shot, not all day. But if I'm thinking about the artistry, I'm like, we are going to shoot this until it's right.
Right.
Yeah. Right? So they don't counteract. But sometimes, I mean, if I'm just talking to like young filmmakers like us that want to go find money for it, put your business hat on, but don't forget about your artistry hat. Right. Don't feel like you're losing your identity as a filmmaker because you're starting to think more like a businessman. Unfortunately, it's an industry, and these movies cost a lot of money. People cost a lot of money. I mean, my last film, I spent $789,000 just on people, and that was a $1.5 million film.
Oh, wow.
So that's what...
So you didn't feed them, is what you're saying.
Well, that's a whole different conversation. But yes, we fed them very well. Yes. But yeah, I think we also want to inspire the young guys and young girls, and anyone. I mean, we want to inspire not just Americans, international people. That's another interesting thing is that, in all my travels and looking for money, I found that everybody in America that has money has been pitched a movie or knows somebody that has been pitched a movie, invested in the movie, and then got screwed over, right? If you start traveling to France and Italy and Belgium and all these European places, and most of those films are made on grants. Those countries kind of actually appoint their filmmakers. They go through the festivals, they find out, or they go through the schooling, and they find out who are the best filmmakers, and they'll give them that money. I mean, Gaspar Noé has been funded by France forever, and I mean, he's one of my favorite film directors ever. And thank God, France did that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at some rate, also when you meet people, I'm just trying to say for any of these, American filmmakers, go to Cannes. Go to Venice, go out there, go party, go to the clubs, go meet the people that are doing things, and I guarantee you there's more money in Europe for films right now than there necessarily is in America.
Or
anywhere.
I think there is the money in America, but they don't want to part with it.
They're a little bit smarter.
They're a little safer. Yeah, because think about it. Like, I've always had a lot of success in Miami. Miami people are great because they're like, no. Like, I just want to be a part of something bigger than me. Yes, there is a sense of certain Miami people that are flashy and would like to walk the red carpet to probably get back at their ex or something. But there is another scenario with Miami that they cultivate art. It's like, when the UFOs come down, what art are we going to show them?
Right.
And I think that being a part of that, even on the finance side, is really cool to certain people. Miami has always been a hot spot for me. Don't go to New York; they don't like it. New Yorkers. Actually, that's not true. I mean, my first investor was in New York. I put on a suit every night, every Sunday night. I went to the Waldorf Astoria, and I just kept hanging out there. And eventually, I found some investors doing that. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Here at Sundance at the Rendezvous Cinema Center, and I've got Chris, Michael, and Slater, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Opened my eyes about hedge funds and movies, which I never thought I'd say that in the same sentence.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much.
We really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. You can email me with any questions or topics you want to hear about at hkelly@ksl.com. That's HKELLY@ksl.com. And because this is Money Making Sense, you can subscribe for free on Spotify, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast, and you'll never miss another episode.
Thanks for being a Money Making Sense listener. Follow your common sense on the social media. Money Making Sense on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.